Welcome into another episode of Discard for Magic. What about any video games? We were talking a little Slay the Spire before we started recording. Is there any video games you guys have been playing?
Now you're talking my language. I've been playing Eugenics.
Ooh.
Currently playing Eugenics. Played Hades 2 before that. It's eugenics with cat. You have a bunch of cats, you put them in a house together, they breed, they create more cats.
And then they fight, right?
There's this whole breeding system, but then you go on like a Final Fantasy Tactics-esque squares on a map strategy game, and all the things that are affecting your cats from breeding or whatever have effects in the game, and you're getting items, and there's a bunch of different levers, but ultimately fulfilling tactical elements to it. But then it's also got that fulfilling combo elements as you start to combo different things together to make like broken stuff. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things they can do because you're facing a computer and it doesn't need to be balanced or fair.
So when are we getting a cat faction?
I'm surprised we don't have one yet. Cat people.
Yeah, it looks like it's very Binding of Isaac sort of art, and it sounds super fun.
Yeah, I do not enjoy the art, but the gameplay makes up for it.
I mean, I love turn-based strategy.
I heard it's compared to like Into the Breach favorably too, a similar kind of thing, except it sounds more wacky and stuff like that and just like the cat breeding and stuff.
It's wacky, but at the same time, like it's also very strategic because you're going on run after run. And so, like, sometimes you're spectacularly bad, and cats are going to die in this game. A lot of cats. You're going to send a lot of cats to their death. In battle, you're going to send a lot of cats to their death just for, like, upgrades. Some of them are just ugly and, born with a hair lip that's giving it a negative to its charisma, and it's just got to go.
Oof.
So you send them over to an NPC who's doing you don't know what with them, and you don't really ask too many questions. And
so, like Pokemon.
But it's pretty dark, yeah. Like Pokemon, but they're a little more forefronted about bad stuff is happening to these cats.
Please.
It's a play on eugenics as well.
Do you have like a good reason you're doing all this within the game?
No.
You're just the cruel cat overlord.
And it's just, you're doing it because you like playing games, and you can.
Not like a greater threat or something?
There's a greater threat that shows up, and then your like cats that you've sent on runs and got them all like buffed out, made all those crazy combos, then they'll send like a big bad at you that you'll have some time to prepare for. And then when you collect your crew for that, instead of going out to the normal series of Slay the Spire, like going through a path and doing battles at each point on the path, you'll have one big battle against a bigger boss, and then there's a story thread kind of there, but not a big story thread. And as you give cats to these ne'er-do-wells in town, like certain story threads will evolve from there. You get side quests and stuff like that. But giving them cats upgrades all sorts of elements of the game. You can make your house bigger. You can make more items available in the shop. You can be able to do more with the cat breeding. There's a scientist you give. He only takes mutated cats. Cats with some kind of mutation, genetic mutation. Give enough to him, and you end up with like a really powerful item that usually has a drawback, but you have to take it all the way to the point in the map. There's lots of little threads to pull on that keep you interested in going out, but mostly it's also just like the loop of cats are kind of slowly getting better over time as you make your breeding program better. Like, well, let's see what happens now. It has no trouble keeping you interested. It doesn't need a through thread to keep you going.
I've heard good things about. Unfortunately, my desktop right now is a Mac, and it looks like it doesn't have a Mac version yet. Otherwise, I think I would have picked it up myself.
It doesn't. No, yeah, it's Windows. I wouldn't be surprised if it starts showing up on Switch and stuff like that. Before that, I played Hades 2. It's the same kind of. I mean, y'all have heard of Hades and Hades 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit.
It's got some of the same like run after run, and you're improving and.
Yeah, the roguelite thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eugenics, turn-based roguelite, basically.
Turn-based roguelite is right up my alley. I feel like I'd enjoy it. What about you, Joe? What have you been playing?
Let's see. Nothing.
Still that VR golf game with your dad and brother-in-law?
Oh yeah. I have a weekly MetaQuest walkabout mini golf game that's extremely competitive. We practice. I go in during the week. Basically, if you're thinking that VR gaming is probably overrated, you're 100% right, with one exception, and that exception is walkabout mini golf. And it is worth it to buy a VR headset just for that. And basically, for the last couple of years, that's all my VR headset has been. But yeah, I go in multiple times during the week, practice each hole. There are these fantastical, environments, like wild gimmicks and such for courses. The one we played Monday night was the 8-bit layer. It's like an evil guy, but he's trapped you inside of a video game, an 8-bit looking video game. Yeah, high skill game. We practice super hard and then, we have the showdown on Monday night. It's one of my favorite parts of my week, and it actually feels like more than any other video game I've ever played online. It actually feels like I'm hanging out with the people right there. And no other VR game does that either, by the way. It's some connection between the VR and the mini golf.
Something about mini golfing in VR.
Yeah, I cannot recommend it high enough. For Slay the Spire is my favorite video game of all time. Early release comes out tomorrow of the sequel. But I was telling you guys, I'm not in a massive rush to jump on it just because playing on the computer is not my normal thing. I'm more likely to be playing on something with my kid on the Switch or just on my phone, which, Slay the Spire's been on mobile for a long time. But I'm sure I will get there. My hope... So Slay the Spire 1, when they did all the ports, it was just some third party, and also they didn't know what they were doing when they coded the game originally. The scripting for the game is not very portable, so they made all these ports, and then they couldn't really update the game very well because it would take there'd be so many versions that would need updated, This is different this time around. So my dream for Slay the Spire 2 is that they run it like we run Summoner Wars, and every few months there's a new character. And the game can become kind of a forever game where, I'll pay whatever they want for a new character every, a couple times, 2, 3, or 4
I'll pay
times
$5.
That's Colby's limit, but I'll pay whatever. I'll give everything up for it. I hope that's what happens. Just having 4 characters on the regional has lasted me for around 2,000 hours, but I'd love to see even more. In general, I'm not in a big rush. I have a Switch 2, but I haven't played through all the games I got yet because there's too many games, man. Too many games, and I got too much mini golf practice to do. So I just kind of slowly move through them one at a time.
I'm always playing something. I rarely am in a area where I'm not playing a video game of some kind during my video gaming time.
Like my kid, when we got the Switch 2, he started a new Animal Crossing island and speed ran it basically in a few days to the credit roll. So, I'm doing all your basic Switch stuff I'm doing with him.
He's much more advanced in video games than mine. They're not really too good at navigating space, except for Minecraft on an iPad.
There you go.
That's their interface. I tried to have them play Minecraft on the Switch. They're really interested in having Minecraft on the TV, and they got real frustrated real quick.
Dual stick controls.
Yeah, that's the toughest thing. And there's this Bluey game that we break out every once in a while that is complete dog shit. You're co-op, you're on the screen at the same time, but if somebody decides to fuck off and do something else, like the game doesn't know how to handle it, and it just kind of it just ends up in a tug-of-war match for what's on screen.
Because you're on the same screen, so it doesn't do split screen, and you're kind of...
Right. Yeah, so inevitably the two of them can't agree on what we're doing right now, and it turns into a big crime fight. So I've not reached the stage where I could play video games with my kids for very long. Eventually I have to shut it down, and that eventually comes pretty quick.
I don't know how old your guys' kids are, but I feel like you reach a certain point. There's a learning curve for video games, as there is with anything. And I remember I would, growing up, go over to my friends and hate all the video games we'd play because I was just so bad at them because I would never play video games in my own house. Slowly but surely got to really enjoy them.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is navigating 3D space with a controller. It's so much harder than it's so natural to you but for a kid that's a tough pickup.
Yeah, my kid, he just beat Odyssey he's 8. He just beat Mario Odyssey without assist mode for the first time. He's beaten the game several times. That's a big step to beat it without assist mode. And the one game he is straight up better than me is Geometry Dash. Literally, we will compete on a level, try to see who could beat it first, which, could take a dozen hours of practice on a level to beat it. It's just straight up better.
My 8-year-old most recently threw a scream tantrum over Bluey the video game.
Of course, my kid gets frustrated sometimes too. Definitely a pretty decent tool. Teaching about practice and taking a break to cool down and learning how to get good at things and how everything in life basically is that. The secret sauce to everything in life, practice.
Let's play video games. Got it.
Yes. You got it. You totally got the point. Yes.
We have had a fair amount of people in the community who have kids try and introduce Summoner Wars to them. When do you guys think is like the best time to introduce Summoner Wars to a kid? Have you tried with your kids, or?
It depends on the kid. Ultimately, how motivated they are to learn.
Right now, my kid is not too interested in board games, so I'm not too interested in trying to convince him otherwise. Even when he's with his big cousins who he looks up to, he'll play one round of Magical Athlete, and then they'll all be like, let's play again, and he'll be like, I'm going to go do something else. You guys have fun. So let's put it that way. It has more to do with interest than,
ability.
Yeah. When a kid wants to do something, they can put up with a lot to do it. And when they don't want to do something, the tiniest little snag.
Unravel the whole sweater.
Exactly.
That's fair.
There's probably a set of factions that would be the most natural. I don't know if it's just simply Phoenix Elves versus Tundra Orcs or what, but,
Vargather, really good one to teach some core concepts just about the spatial element of the game.
Yeah,
without
absolutely.
giving you too much to concern yourself over. I think my favorite matchup is the Chupacabra matchup, Vargath versus Crimson Order.
Yeah, the only thing I worry about that one is it could run a little long. The one I've had some success with is like Birds versus Obsidian Dwarves, because it's just explosive and like you're just both gonna do stuff that takes out the other player.
True.
Any player knows which factions are the easiest to pick up. Do those factions first.
Another thing you could do, though, is that could simplify things, is maybe like take out events. So it's just like these two armies battling it out. That would shorten it, that would keep it short. That would keep the kid from having to try to read and make sense of something without you seeing it.
Something Heroescape do is they had a mode where you didn't have any special abilities, and they didn't even try to bother to balance that. Maybe you could just do that with Summoner Wars.
Yeah, but that's what makes it fun, right?
Right. I feel like even in Heroescape, hardly anyone would play that mode very often, even with kids. And it was kind of like every unit was like a Deathwalker then. They just had high defense and you just be rolling dice. And sometimes kids would get bored of that mode too. In my experience, is I can't kill this thing, or I just got unlucky. And even then we're like, this is too boring. Let's play with the abilities. So
I mean, sometimes when I'm teaching Summoner Wars at a convention, if somebody like misses an ability and it's round one, I'll just let that, certain amount of the teaching. I think it's okay to not draw their attention to the special abilities too much, and then sort of be like, okay, well, but look at this. This breaks the rule in this way.
Right.
You can start to layer on the special abilities in game one.
Right. So then the conundrum is, how do you not, just crush them if you're the one playing against? It works best if you got two kids.
I think you expose. Yeah, but I don't know if that's true, because like, I mean, I can lose to a lot of people at a convention. It's not that hard to do.
I wouldn't do this at a convention, but one interesting learning tool I heard a guy use a long time ago when playing chess or any like heads-up game like that, when you're playing with a kid, is like you can give them the option to switch sides at any time.
Oh, that's cool.
So that they're not afraid of losing so much, and then they can see you try to work out of a losing position as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's some good self-balancing. Yeah, you could apply to almost any game.
All right, Dad, you take over here. I don't want to be losing now, so then.
Yeah, I don't think I could pull that off with adults at a convention. That would be a little too...
All right, you switch. You take my spot. You're doing real bad over there.
Oh, I hear you complaining a lot about how my faction's stronger. Let's switch.
Let's switch right now. That's always a funny one, and it's hard to deal with when people like offer their expert opinions after one game, and you're like, okay, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's like, I selected this matchup because it is balanced, but
Yeah, I feel like I've seen less of that over the years. But just a lower percentage of attendees.
Well, I think that might also have something to do with the shifting demographic in board games, right? Conventions, you could see a obvious shifting demographic away from the grognard person who thinks they're an expert in all games is just more diluted.
I have seen a couple of people in the community who, when playing like with kids, they'll take out some of the commons as well as like some of the events. They'll like just reduce some of the things, sometimes just that they have. Like they'll take out all 4 of one of their commons on their side, and just to give the kid less things to worry about or less things to learn and sort of handicap themselves.
Yeah, if somebody out there has had a lot of success with it, post your comments to the Discord. If something rises to the top, maybe we can publish something.
Summoner Wars Kids?
Just like a how-to guide. Hey, I'm playing Summoner Wars with my kids. Here's how to handicap.
How do we get the tutorial mode?
Yeah, you could always just start with some damage on your summoner. I don't know, maybe there's a whole combination of things.
Another question from the community. There's always a little bit of talk about errata, and somebody asked the question of, would there ever be a separately sold errata pack for all the little changes that don't normally warrant like a full errata? The couple things they tossed out were like zero cost blast or like a better MIDI tree or a better freeze.
I have talked about doing a set of promo mercenaries just available separately. If we were to do that, I'd probably like pack in there all the cards that have been errated over the years, but also like maybe all that stuff will show up in the campaign set. Now that we have that going, if we're making it for the campaign set, it's not too difficult to like, we'll just make more of them and pack them separately. So maybe we can sell it as an add-on during the campaign. Campaign's a chance to do a lot of stuff we wouldn't normally do.
Yeah. And so to be clear, the stuff they're asking about is like little adjustments we've made in tournaments in the past that are well received, but they're...
Oh, probably not that. No, it would probably only be like the official erratas, the ones that we like enough, but...
So it'd be a chance for people to get those if they didn't get them earlier.
Yeah, during this development time where we're developing the campaign set, we should probably be thinking a lot about what existing things are due for an errata. I know that we probably want to do something with the Shimmer Sea Fae, for example.
They're the most urgent right now. I guess in some ways the question would be, would the campaign set be an opportunity to do some more of these more minor erratas that don't make...
Well, yeah, we can include the minor erratas that we have done, right?
Or just things that, what I mean is things that are not official erratas, but we know would improve things like a zero cost blinding flare and stuff.
I don't know, because that's going to get pretty messy when it comes to like, okay, well, which card are we using in a tournament? And
yeah. And some of them, I feel like a zero-cost blinding flare could be good, but I feel like it would need a lot of testing, and Phoenix Elves, I feel like, are in a pretty good place at the moment.
Yeah, definitely erratas they've been good for the game, but they're definitely a burden at times too, with new players and trying to figure out how they get these cards. And some of them being like, well, I shouldn't have to buy another set.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy the Groaks because they don't want frogs or whatever. And that's where something was in or something, or the high elves or whatever.
Yeah, everybody's anti-frog.
My feeling is like, if you don't want to buy a new deck, you're probably not into the game enough to worry about these erratas. The way you're playing is probably just fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably true.
Right.
That's not really a good answer to tell a customer.
That's almost more the downside to me, is that there's some people who are opening a pack and they're like, what are these extra cards?
Yeah.
And then they look at it and they compare it to the original card and they're like...
Yeah, and then when they can't tell the difference, that's...
Yeah. So just the confusion of people who shouldn't care about it having to hear about it, process it.
Which is probably like 90% of players.
Yeah, I guess we don't know the numbers, but you guys do. We have, a certain number of online players that are super into it and could tell you what all the cards do, but there's a lot of people that just play a few games in their family or wherever, or their friends, and they don't get into the weeds like we do. I mean, even people like some of the reviewers and stuff who love the game, when we've talked to later and be like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast? Like, I don't play enough to know that, but you love the game. It's like, not like you, James and Aaron, so it's like, so like for those kind of customers, which is probably most of them, it doesn't necessarily make as much sense. They don't know what's going on with the errata, I guess. And like Colby was saying, they might not need it,
They definitely don't need it. The changes we're making, the level of balance that is seeking to adjust is just not something that I feel like is going to impact a given game of theirs. There's so much room for them to grow as a player before those minor adjustments really matter in who wins. I think it's fewer and fewer people who can get online and do that growing. I think most people, and I've probably talked about this before, but I think most people probably give up with online before they get good on the level of a typical online player. I think they probably just lose too many matches in a row and get frustrated.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I just thought of this, but it'd be interesting if there was a way to implement like a training setting for somebody who just joins online. It might I don't think people would really abuse it because there wouldn't be a benefit, but like your first 10 games are, and there's probably not the player base for this, but like your first 10 games are against other people who are just learning or have like only had so many amount of games.
That's what the ELO is supposed to do, but far and away, most of the games being created are created by the core player, and the new player hard to match with.
Like, I feel like Marvel Snap and others do things where like
they do AI.
I was gonna say they do AI and they don't tell you or whatever. You know, like you're just like, okay, I'm playing some games against. Oh, I won, cool. And
Same for like Fortnite. I'd love to do that, but I don't think that we have the resources to make that happen right now.
It's not convincing enough, The
AI that we have, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Snap is, you can do whatever move and you're not going to really be sure if it's, a human who's just doing something dumb.
Yeah, the decision space is a lot smaller in Snap, where it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just play one of my 3 cards or whatever card on curve or whatever.
Right.
But
it would definitely be a solution where it's just like you feed them progressively more difficult AI until they're at the point where the matchmaking tries to find somebody at their level and then gives up rather quickly in favor of an AI that's at their level. If we had unlimited resources.
When the Kickstarter launches, that should be a big time of people with eyes on the game. We'll have to have the right promotion in Summoner Wars Online to just having enough new people playing at once. I will say I've been playing a lot the last couple weeks, and I hadn't played in a while, so I was, with no stars, and so far I've been matched up against more novice-ish players, so they are around. If they're choosing Give Me a Fair Match, they're around. The problem is, it's not just the difference between a novice and an expert player. Even a novice and just like a smart player who can pick it up fast could be a pretty large gap itself. Sometimes you just can't help people. Like they would need a lot more work to learn the game than somebody just coming from the right kind of gaming background who could pick it up quickly.
We've also talked about doing digital stretch goals on the campaign. Ultimately, like we've not had a lot of success hiring contractors to do this kind of work. It would need to be all like ridiculous stretch goals, like hire another person level stretch goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I will say I have been lately, because of these new factions coming out, I've been refactoring the code base a lot, and it is getting closer to being something that other people could make sense of. And I will get there eventually, so I am trying to make progress on that front.
One thing back to the physical game, people were wondering that, like they said, Ashes had an all-in storage solution. Are we expecting like a big box we could put all our decks in, or something like that of that nature?
Yeah, we'll offer an all-in tier for sure, and for sure it'll come packed in a box, and for sure we'll offer that box separately.
Colby, do you think that'll have any relationship to the deck box solution that we currently?
Probably not. It'll probably be 2 different solutions. The deck boxes will probably be on offer as well, but those would be more of like here's a way to display your decks and to travel with a deck or 2 to a tournament or whatnot. And then here's for those who would rather just have everything in one box solution. I think they'll just end up being 2 different solutions. Otherwise, I think we have to manufacture it way too big, because the deck boxes, the original idea behind the deck boxes was a couple of your favorite factions, and like there's room for your tokens and dice and everything, and they're made to have that room to just look good and cool. Ultimately, almost nobody did them that way, so then we shifted to doing them as a set at a time.
Right, and they're too bulky to have as part of the...
They're very aesthetically pleasing too, so I think people like them for that aspect too.
Yeah, I have them all on my shelf and all that. There'll be a tier where you get all of them and you get enough tokens for all of them and all that. I haven't figured everything out, but Yeah, maybe even like something that looks good with all of those that you could put your playmat in and your dice and stuff separately. It'd definitely be like a branch. The good way to store them if you play all your games at your house and you're just looking at a wall of factions and picking one down and it's all ready to play for you versus I want one box that I bring out and travel with or whatnot.
Yeah, it really is portable versus non. My friend actually has a bunch of Cthulhu Death May Die. It's a CMON co-op. He just got a storage solution, unofficial, but it actually goes in, it fits in a Calyx shelf, but it's permanent. It has all these drawers to organize all these tokens and everything because there's a billion scenarios that all have pieces. And it's like, once you buy that, you're not playing Cthulhu Death May Die somewhere else. I do think the deck boxes
It gets
are the
screwed
best.
into your Calyx. It gets mounted to the wall so it doesn't tip over.
It's not a very, like, travelable thing.
You got to put anchors in, and
I thought the deck boxes are really the best for displaying, and like when we're alpha testing or whatever, we can pull whatever deck we want off the shelf. You can't beat that. But for people who want to be able to take it to a game store or whatever and take everything, it would be the big box.
To be clear, the big box is not going to be the campaign set. Splitting storage solutions or whatever, not everybody's going to want both of them, and we can't like ship that much air around to retailers and all that. It'll be its own thing.
That makes sense. I guess another question people had is, will we ever see a full faction crossover from another Plaid Hat Games title, like an Ashes or something else?
A full
Maybe.
Super Auto Pets card battle faction?
yeah, that would be it.
Super Auto.
We do the promos, but I think there's a race in freelancers. What are they called? The cricket people with the super long legs.
I forget their name.
The grasshopper people. Anyhow, there's a species in there that is I haven't seen anywhere else. Like I think it's pretty uniquely ours. I could definitely see bringing them over. I think it's a pretty solid design.
I was noticing recently that we didn't really have any like insect-based factions. They're almost all like mammals or birds or reptiles, I guess, you know?
Yeah, that's the next step. We do have an octopus.
Wasn't there a bee faction in Crystal Clans too, or is
Yeah, fairies, and there were some of them that rode bees and stuff. Yeah, flower people, and it's a flower clan. I definitely thought we were going to do more like dipping into Crystal Clans art and Summoner Wars than we. Wayfarers is pretty much where it started and stopped.
Yeah.
There's a couple of promos. Feels like there's so much good art in Crystal Clans that almost nobody's seen it.
Yeah, Martin Abel does some good stuff.
Is that still the plan going forward? Is he pretty happy with the arrangement? You guys just going to keep having him do Summoner Wars until we have 66 factions?
So far, so good. I mean, he's always ready for more work. So that's actually not a concern I have for the campaign set and co-developing the normal sets at the same time. Art isn't really a concern I have. Like, he can pump it out.
So last time you guys were on, you dropped that there was going to be a new game, Monolith, coming out at some point. What about some more on that, or any other titles that you guys are working on? Like, what can we expect from Plaid Hat in the next year or so?
We are still working on the Monolith at this point. We're pretty locked in on gameplay, probably completely locked in on gameplay. It's just getting it through the remaining graphic design. You should see, maybe by the time this is released, early signups to be notified when the full campaign launches. The molds are being worked on and all that, so it's real close.
So you say campaign launching, it's like you're going back to Kickstarter for that then?
Yeah, that one will be on Kickstarter as well.
And for those who don't know, that's dudes on a map, but with some unique sort of twists on the economy and how pieces move around and enter and exit the board. Blood Rage would probably be the closest comparison, but it's pretty unique too. It's not, Blood Rage is very comboing cards kind of a thing. This is more of a on the map kind of a game.
Yeah.
With a giant monolith that you dump hearts into.
Anatomically correct human hearts.
The monolith in the middle kind of reminds me of Nexus Ops, like just in name, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Or Dark Tower. Dark Tower's got a giant dark tower in the middle.
Right, that you actually dump stuff into, too.
Yeah,
But
well,
this is-
yes. Originally, we were dumping skulls in, and then somebody's like, that's what Dark Tower does. It's like, I guess the hearts.
Dark Tower is a very different game, though. It's like a co-op.
Right.
Yeah. It's nothing like Dark Tower, but, just to get away from it visually a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Joe's been working on the development work of a 2-player head-to-head, asymmetrical card game that I think will be, right up the alley of Ashes players, Summoner Wars players that like 2-player heads-up games.
Yeah, it's from an outside designer, but I've been working on it with him for a long time now, and I think we've kept it under our hats. I don't want to burst that bubble.
Unknown
Yeah,
project is there.
it's too early to give too much in the way of gameplay details, other than like for those of you who like all of the Plaid Hat, 2-player games, we're doing another one.
It'll have its obvious distinctives, I'll say.
Yes, it will not be like Summoner Wars. It will not be like Ashes. It is as different from Summoner Wars and Ashes as Summoner Wars and Ashes are from one another.
Yeah. But all I'll say is that the designer is a smart guy, and then the other person working a ton on it is Donald, who's just doing a great job with all of the theming and the art direction. It'll be in a distinctive fantasy setting, and it's like looking great, and it's highly thematic and has a very detailed world that it exists in. So I'll definitely look forward to that.
The primary artist on that is B, and she's done some of the
work for Summoner Wars.
Some of my favorite event cards in Summoner Wars were done by B.
Yeah, like a Merge, very, very good one.
Yes, yeah, Merge is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and she's doing incredible work on this. So we've got a really good team working on that game, and we will be looking for playtesters for that soon too. Although it's not like I want to cannibalize Summoner Wars stuff.
Yeah, it's had some huge challenges. It's just that kind of game. It's different enough that it's had some huge challenges, but it feels like it's getting there. It's a lot more work than we expected when we signed it.
Making games is hard work. Anytime you do an update, this is any game, not just this, it's like you fix a problem and then it's like the next play that feels really good, but then you play a few more times and you're like, okay, but now
we created 3 more problems.
The next problem. I guarantee this is going to be super fun because we will not stop working on it.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on it, and all of it has been productive time, it feels like.
Nice. Well, we can look forward to that. Any other updates or anything you guys want to share before we wrap it up?
Super Auto Pets is going to be fulfilling in the next couple months. We've had some internal successes with it that aren't ready to announce, but that give us a lot of faith that it's not just us who love this game. It's a lot of fun. 2 players, expandable to up to 6 if you get multiple sets. The expandable version is you're all sharing this like shop phase where you're buying these different pets. All the pets have special abilities, and then you split off into head-to-head games, and you end up doing like a little mini tournament in the 4 or 6 player game. In a 2-player game, you're just doing the shop phase and playing through the 6 rounds. Each round, you end up with a new deck of cards, basically drafting from, you're buying from. And each one of those decks, it gets better and better. The cards get better and better. As you're playing, you're building these broken combos of characters, but you're limited to having just 5. So you're kind of forced in 2 ways to like upgrade and always be buying new stuff and trying to both keep your combo, and if you get too ingrained in your combo, there are a lot of counter picks that your opponent's going to do. And so the shop phase is so integrated into the gameplay and how you win in a way that I have not had the same feeling with another game as I have had with Super Auto Pets in the way it plays. And we started to get copies out to like foreign partners and stuff, and it's hitting really well as they introduce it to their development team. So if the theme made you think like, oh, this isn't the game for me, take a second look.
And this was a Nick game, right?
Yeah, Nick designed the adaptation.
Nick designed it. He spent a lot of time designing it. He is a huge fan of the property. The idea of taking an auto battler and turning it into a card game had significant challenges. He pulled it off so well.
Yeah, and once it hits retail, it's only $20 for the classic pack, which is everything you need to experience the game for 2
$20 for any one of the packs, and all of them are standalone, cross-compatible, combinable. Some of the highest praise you can give it is it's the game that most or all of the staff members are most excited to own a copy of in a long time.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you guys coming on the podcast and chat Summoner Wars and everything with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I think that the Summoner Wars future is bright. Thanks as always to everybody for patience with online stuff and getting around to bugs and things like that.
Yeah, and releases have slowed down and whatnot as we like tackled the big Ashes thing. And I know there was some jealousy how much attention Ashes was getting. Y'all are still my babies. I'll take care of you.
In Gen Con, the Gen Con of Summoner Wars. This
Yeah.
is it. This is it.
This is where we take over Gen Con.
First full tournament of Summoner Wars.
That's right. Let's make it happen. We don't care who we have to pay to join the tournament. We'll make it
No, we
happen.
do care about that a little bit.
I'll be there, and I'm coming with a couple friends who don't play online and stuff, but I'll see if I can get them to sneak into the tournament.
Yeah, it's all for good fun. The tournament has all sorts of players. You know, most of it's like the people who play online are really serious about it, but you always see at least a couple of younger kids playing and people who are more casual about the game. Even if you're not top of the line, it should still be fun. You'll get yourself into some fun matchups.
Yep, and you get some kind of cool prizes. There's always, participation prizes and stuff that are fun.
If you bring your friend to the Summoner Wars tournament and you learn your Bible verse, you'll get a special prize.
Bible verse.
Your Summoner Wars verse.
From the Onyx Tome.
Yeah, your verse from the Onyx Tome.
Get indoctrinated, and pretty soon you too can be a filth cultist.
Yeah, lucky you.
This has been another episode of Discard for Magic. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Bye.